more discussions of Amazon Prime Day, and how many apps on your iPad do you really use? This is MacVoices. This edition of MacVoices is supported by you, our viewers and listeners, through our Patreon and PayPal sponsorship options. To learn more, visit macvoices.com/support. Welcome to MacVoices. This is the talk of the Apple community, and I'm Chuck Joyner. Folks, this is part 2 in a 3-part conversation with the MacVoices live panel about, well, we started out with what they did and didn't buy on Amazon Prime Day, but then the conversation took a turn regarding Amazon and what the implications are of not being able to ever do business with Amazon again if you contest a purchase. Then the conversation morphed into a discussion of how many apps you use on your iPad, what you have installed, and how to find that out, and really how I found out. Let's go back and let the panel do the talking. Jim, you've been really patient. I want to make sure you get in here. What did you take advantage of on Prime Day?
Nothing.
Oh, okay. I thought you had your hand raised. What?
Well, we were talking about returning things to Amazon, and that reminded me of a story I saw about a week ago on Michael Tsai's blog, which was kind of alarming and something people probably would want to know about Amazon shipping a $7,000. Somebody ordered a $7,000 Sony Alpha 1 camera, and they got bricks. And Apple was like, so sad, too bad. And
Apple or Amazon?
Huh?
Amazon?
It
Amazon.
was shipped directly from Amazon, not a marketplace seller.
It said Apple.
And and there was other, links to other stories that, this is a sort of a problem with Amazon's really good for returning cheap things or about making good. But if it's something expensive and you usually think, well, you can do a chargeback, your credit card company protects you. But if you do that to Amazon, well, then you can never deal with Amazon. You can't ever buy anything from Amazon ever again. They'll just blacklist you. So, wow, after reading that, it's like, I don't think I would ever. Huh?
$7,000. I think I can handle that.
Yeah, that's
I think maybe items that are really expensive you probably don't want to buy from Amazon.
How do you think bozos got so rich?
$10 from China at a time. That's how.
And I'm sure from Amazon's point of view, it sounds like this is a case where somebody inside Amazon's warehouse, like they had an employee problem, but how's Amazon going to straighten that out?
Was that sold by Amazon? Was the product sold by Amazon?
Yeah, it was
sold by Amazon.
It was.
No,
yes.
It was a third-party seller on Amazon.
It was shipped directly from Amazon, not a marketplace seller.
Okay. Yeah.
I put the link in the.
Yeah, if that's the case, they should take care of that. If it's a third-party seller, I could see their problem.
A friend, right?
Well, so Amazon has basically like accused the customer of lying and saying, well, we really did send you the camera, and you're just trying to, steal from us.
That's gonna go well.
Which I'm sure that kind of thing happens too.
Yeah, that.
I have no doubt. Yeah,
But this was a professional photographer.
Yeah. Money's tight.
Sure.
Sorry, Jim.
Well, I was say, if you look at the story, it seems pretty clear. In fact, I think, Amazon did wind up like somehow like either some media got involved or, and Amazon finally changed their mind. But it was kind of clear that, this is not the first story of this. There's other stories of this that Amazon does not have a good record when the price of the item is high.
But there's some things like that I don't know. I mean, I'd be a little bit hesitant. It would be like buying a car off of Amazon. Not sure that's really, what where I would go for something like that.
Yeah.
So I was thinking the same thing, and I'm like, who's going to spend that much money to do something online? But people buy
My
it.
threshold for I need that in person is way, way lower than $7,000.
Yeah. I certainly bought, $4,000 computers from Apple online.
Right. That's what I'm saying is like, just something about Amazon.
And I think, I think this person was in Durango or Alamosa, Colorado. Yeah. So, there's no store selling, they would probably have to drive to Denver, which is what, Jeff, 12 hours at least.
No, it's not that far, but it's a long drive. But they could cut the distance and just stop in Colorado Springs. And that would be like a 4.5 hour drive.
You think they have there's someplace in Colorado Springs with $7,000 Sony digital cameras?
Not gonna lie, I've spent thousands of dollars on Amazon. Honestly, actually, I think I bought my Sony A6400 through Amazon, and the reason I did it was because they actually provide good financing, interest free. You pay $200 a month for a year, and you get a camera the next day. I don't know what happens if you don't pay because, I'm trying to make sure I'm doing right financially for myself. But I think there's a lot of people now that are looking at it. And you got to think about Amazon is putting themselves in a position to where we do want to trust them for a lot more stuff. There are people that are buying their medication from Amazon at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Which just puts all the more pressure on Amazon to be as reliable as they possibly can. Mm-hmm. And in the case, I'm glad to hear, Jim, that the $7,000 camera was resolved.
Well, I'm not sure about that. I read this a week ago, and I haven't had a chance right now to read the whole story again.
That just strikes me, though, as the kind of thing that would be all over the news if they tried to maintain that position.
Well, how many people buy $7,000 cameras?
But you could see Amazon's point, though. Who's to prove? Where's the proof of what was said? That's the issue.
I scanned through the article that Jim posted, and the shipping logs from UPS show that the package weighed significantly less than the actual product should weigh.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Yeah. Just like all the things we see people pick on Apple about, and we'll talk about those next. One of those next, but if it's Amazon and somebody feels like they've really been significantly cheated, that's going to make news. It's just the way it is.
Well, it didn't make big news.
Yeah, well, that's why I wonder how long it took to get resolved.
eBay is like, yeah, whatever, dude.
Yeah,
like, this is what we do.
eBay's going to the wrong side of town.
Yeah,
eBay's like, let me know when you catch up.
Yeah,
so it's like those TikToks of where if someone steals your food in the drive-through line at Chick-fil-A versus at Burger King.
Kind of the wake up on this was that, usually I think, by making online purchases, well, I've always got, I can go to my credit card company and get recourse, right? And suddenly this was like a wake up, like, hey, I can't really do that with Amazon, unless I'm willing to burn the relationship with Amazon for the rest of my life, which, it's
not necessarily a negative thing.
I think it would be. I just assumed like, okay, I could go buy thing, I could probably buy, I'm sure I could buy this camera at B&H or whatever. And, I'd be more willing to burn my, lifetime relationship with B&H than Amazon. So maybe that would go into my thinking.
Well, they could send bricks too. I'm sure.
Yes,
I'm sure
but I could do a chargeback and, so if B&H never sells me anything ever again,
you just keep going down the line. You'll go, what's the next one?
Yeah.
Adorama.
Finally get to Crazy Eddie's.
Yeah.
Crazy Eddie's. Oh my
God. I got to be crazy to sell you a camera.
These prices are insane.
It's next to Wacky Guy's House of Microphones.
What?
So we're buying stuff from
That's a guy's house.
That's how low we've got.
But it does bring up an interesting concept here that we all take for granted, that there is a good faith thing going out here, especially when you're dealing with major retailers. And we've all seen different things. I know there are examples I can give you, and I can't think of any right now, but there are companies that ask you, well, I know one, Rode, the folks that make Jeff's microphone and my microphone and David's microphone, and I'm not sure who else's microphone here, but they
20 of them.
Yeah. Well, 20 of guys. Yeah. But they for a time, they were suggesting you not go through Amazon simply because there were counterfeits being sold.
Oh, yeah. The Rodecaster Pro was like that. They kept telling people, don't you buy it, because especially you're spending $600 for a Rodecaster Pro, and then we're not going to warranty it. So
yeah,
they were really. I mean, I ended up buying this one from Guitar Center because I didn't. I would have bought it from Amazon, but then they said that, so I'm like, maybe I should look elsewhere. So
yeah, and that's not necessarily Amazon's fault, but it also wasn't Rode's fault either. It just this is the way it is, and they fought back the only way they could by saying, we don't want to get burned by you saving money. But the interesting thing, David, about that, if I remember correctly, was the price. It wasn't like the Amazon price was, oh my God, it was the same price. So
about the only thing you would save in some cases was the cost of shipping.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Prime's usually shipped free.
That's actually a really interesting topic, Chuck. You're talking about the counterfeiting problem. I feel like that's something that, again, going to the wrong side of the tracks here, eBay has started to promote in their space of they do authentication detection for certain high value items like shoes, which, I mean, again, I don't know who's paying thousands of dollars for shoes, but somebody is, and it's worth investing in departments and teams that will actually take the purchase before you get it, inspect it, make sure it's legit, and then send it to you saying, yes, we checked it. These are the official Jordan 1 Midnight Purple editions. I don't know shoes again. But I think it's interesting that Amazon hasn't worked to provide some type of authenticity, checking system for high value items.
Kind of like how all these apps on the App Store that, are scams, and Apple doesn't seem to be able to find it, but some random guy can turn them up, by the hundreds.
Or even just legitimacy, enter into some sort of agreement with Amazon where you are SanDisk and you pay a premium to make sure that nobody else can sell SanDisk stuff in the store, on the Amazon storefront, for example. And the reason I pulled that random example is because I bought an SD card off Amazon, and it turned out to be a counterfeit. And I didn't know it until I had trouble with it. And I had enough trouble with it enough times that I sent them an email, and they were like, send us the little number off the side of the card. And so I sent it to them, and they were like, yeah, that's fake. So see ya.
You should have known, because it usually says it has 128 gigabytes capacity, and you put it in as 2 megabytes on it. Or
I mean, it was Sharpie on the side. I should have maybe guessed from that, but mostly it was just like the whole thing looked. It all looked real. I had no idea. I didn't. It was within $1 or $2 of the other one that I saw, and I was like, well, this one. This one ships sooner or something, so I bought it because they were all the same price, and I wanted it quicker. And it ended up being
malware. It installed malware.
No, it was just flaky. Super, super duper flaky. That's all. So yeah, that was it, and it was just really frustrating. But yeah,
Jeff, did you say anything? Did you buy anything, or did I miss it?
I got the Blink outdoor camera
that's
Anker
right.
Qi charger.
That's right. I may be the only person that hasn't really purchased anything yet. I've got my eye on. Kelly, yeah, that's right.
I'm still shopping. I haven't bought anything.
And I haven't yet either.
I did pick up a Fire TV 4K stick. I like them. And we have one that I am happy with. And so we bought another one because they're very handy to hook to if you have a projector. You can put it in the back of the projector and watch movies. You can stream stuff from the Fire Stick to a projector and sit outside and watch a movie if that's your thing.
Yeah.
And at my house, that's the thing that happens. So that was nice.
Is the Amazon it ends at midnight, but is it midnight everybody's time zone? How does that work?
I think it's midnight here,
Well, and aren't there
No,
Midnight
it's
Pacific.
midnight here.
West Coast.
aren't there a lot of
So-
deals that are only, for a short time? They don't all go for the whole time.
Yeah.
Right, but it's so if it ends at midnight, it's saying midnight for me too. I'm just curious.
Maybe it's by time zone. I don't know. I thought it was midnight Pacific because that's
No,
what
it's I think it's midnight Pacific.
Yeah, I think so too.
I don't know.
I
That would
don't know.
be because it's turning 9 o'clock now, right? So,
Right.
Yeah.
so what time would
That'd be
it
3
time?
a.m.
It'd be 3 a.m. Yeah.
3 a.m. our time, Warren. Yeah.
Should be tired enough then to buy anything.
I just think that it's really interesting how much power Amazon has, and all the effort it's put behind this. And I have to tell you that they're very, except I don't mind saying they're some of the Anker chargers that I'm looking at trying to decide which one, but there really wasn't anything that reached out and grabbed me and said, oh. Now, there were allegedly some really good deals on MacBooks and iMacs and iPads. But since I wasn't in the market, I didn't pay a lot of attention to those.
Yeah. Same.
But, it doesn't seem like anything that I'm really in the market for is ever that much on sale, which may say something about me. I'm not sure what. But
Well, not a lot jumped out. Like we only got it because it was $25. So it was very easy to have another thing that would be very easy to add streaming for. So that was really all it was like now for a very small amount of money, I have a streaming stick I can keep with the projector. Now, when Mr. Kelly gets home, maybe we'll buy a projector. I don't know. We've been looking at them and maybe there'll be one on a streaming deal and we'll get one that makes it so we don't have to wait until it's pitch black outside so we can watch a movie. I don't know. We'll find out. But for the most part, there wasn't a lot that we were in the market for in the first place, Chuck, like you were saying. So I haven't purchased a ton there.
yeah, when I see mixers on sale for that I can get this new really cool mixer in purple for my kitchen. It's like, no, thank you. Really don't.
And you
need
can
that.
listen to Clown Core again, Chuck.
But which mixer was it though? I mean,
Well, I don't. That's since I wasn't in the market, I didn't pay attention, Kelly.
well,
And
see,
thank you. And yes,
you
and
should,
and
but-
and Jay Clowncore just proves how really strange you are.
we
'cause
know
I
he's
did go-
strange, Chuck. He's here with all of us.
Yeah, but this took strange to a whole new level, Kelly. Trust me.
You know you
should-
liked it.
Ah,
I don't know.
call them out.
So, Jim Ray, I'm going to let you describe the article that you threw in our Slack this afternoon, because if this isn't an example of it being picked on because it's Apple, I don't know what is.
It's 9 to 5 Mac, so here, let me reopen it. And who else buys any other kind of wireless headphones? There's just a story that, it says another person accidentally swallows an AirPod, still works after being retrieved. So
Good night, everybody.
Apparently somebody fell asleep
I'm no part of this.
with
I read that this
listening
morning.
to AirPods, and
Yeah.
one of them came off, and in his sleep he apparently swallowed it. Didn't realize, couldn't find it in the morning. Where's
They
my
showed the
AirPod?
X-rays.
He said he had trouble swallowing.
well, those are just X-rays.
Couldn't swallow.
They don't have an X-ray. They don't have his X-ray. That's just an X-ray of like an iFixit type X-ray of.
When their employees
But-
swallow
but-
something while fixing something.
Yeah.
No. It's at least the story I'm looking at. It just shows an X-ray of AirPods, not AirPods in a person.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
But yeah, apparently it didn't hurt very much. But he,
I
Well,
can't
if-
imagine that would feel
what-
comfortable coming back out.
It was medically removed. So one of his family members was like, I think it might be in there. They didn't really know. And so they went to some clinic or something and x-rayed and like, yeah, oh my gosh. And they said it was kind of wedged sideways in a way that the doctor thought was dangerous. So they They used a endoscopy procedure and lassoed it, and he says that was extremely uncomfortable, even though he was sedated. And the end of the story was the AirPod still worked. Afterwards, he was able to charge it. It had discharged overnight, and so when he did the Find My, it didn't beep. And he says
it's probably for the best. I think
that's what he said. He says, really "Yeah, I think I would have."
When your chest starts beeping at you.
Yeah.
I read it as AirTags when I first saw the article. I'm like, how do you swallow an AirTag? And then,
even an AirPod
is worse.
They just need to coat them with that stuff that they coat Nintendo Switch cartridges with. That way, problem solved.
Are you really surprised by anything that a human does?
Well, Frank, what I want to know is, look, I'll tell you right now, if I swallow an AirTag tonight in my sleep, or an AirPod in my sleep, or anything that I shouldn't be swallowing in my sleep, I'm not going to call the press and broadcast this. And I am not, and what happened? Happened? What happened to the medical privacy stuff of, you're not supposed to tell anybody if you have a hangnail, but somehow this story gets out. I mean,
you can tell people whatever you want. The doctor can't.
The doctor can't tell. You can.
Some people like their moment of fame. I mean, this guy might have made the whole thing up and just swallowed it and, wanted to get his name.
See, the first thing that struck my mind is we're looking at somebody to blame but him. And the first thing I thought of was, you go into bed, you turn on a movie, it's 1 a.m, and you have a half-drunk bottle of beer. You wake up in the morning and the bed's wet. Well, couldn't you have sort of figured that out before you went? So I'm thinking, like, really, you're going to go to bed wearing small little electronic devices in your ears?
Bite-size electronics.
Yeah, it's like, surround sound Reese's Pieces. It's like, I don't know how much empathy I have for that person. It's like,
I
should have thought a little about that.
I'm protected.
Yeah, Hannibal Lecter mask.
It's like people are proud of doing it. Yeah, it's like people are proud of doing this stupid stuff.
I mean,
that's true.
I will sleep with my AirPods in, and they do fall out in my sleep. That said, I have.
Jay's last show.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever woken up coughing one out, but at the same time, I can see how mistakes happen. But I do agree with you, Chuck, that this is very similar to the incident where someone used, industrial strength Gorilla Glue to glue their hair down. There's a level of, I did this. I shouldn't have did this, but I wonder how I can capitalize on this at least to cover my medical bills.
She got some money back. Yeah, she got some money back doing that. So, this, AirPod guy could do the same thing. He could start his own.
Maybe he's a magician. He was practicing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, with all due respect to 9 to 5 Mac, which is usually a fairly reputable, source, this just felt like the worst kind of clickbait. And it reminded me of the period we went through a number of years ago now with the Jackass movies, of people just doing absolutely stupid stuff for the sake of, gaining their 15 minutes of fame.
Yeah. And it worked. Now we're using it as clickbait for our show.
Well,
that's the circle of life.
It is a circle of life because, you look at this and say, how is this possible? But if you dig deeper, it's like, this is just plain not right. You knew it was a slow news day when this stuff comes up.
It doesn't sound like, the guy's not trying to sue Apple or blame Apple. And I don't think there's any aspect like that. It's just like,
I think he was just impressed that it still worked.
That's I think that was the 9 to 5, man and Jess iPad, AirPod, and it comes out and it still works. I think that was even the headline, wasn't it?
It was the throat pod.
Yeah,
since
that's the
Apple's
headline.
Trying to go all renewable resources, shouldn't it decompose?
Well, that was the point that the doctors apparently were like, this thing has a lithium battery, and what if that is inside you and that acid in your intestines? That's why they pulled it out. They're like, we don't want to take any chances on this going through your intestines.
Don't be fooled. Apple is totally working on a way to get their technology in your body. So this is, they're preparing because they want.
Well, Bill Gates did the vaccine, so
they hired the guy. Just
that's why my 5G is so much better.
Apple, every tech company wants to have a screen built into your brain at this point. So that's that's why we have the AirPods, and we're getting the glasses. We're just have
on the subject of electronics in your body, I get this, my degree's in electronic engineering, and I get this electronics magazine sends me articles that I usually don't look at, but there was one about implantable oxygen sensors, and I looked at it, and it was really fascinating. So these people have come up with this tiny, like grain of rice sized oxygen sensor that's designed to be implanted after like surgery, like say somebody has a liver transplant. And apparently, a problem can be with that of how much oxygen is getting to that transplanted thing, and there's no direct way to measure it. And sometimes that's a problem. So these people have come up with a sensor that's self-contained, and it's powered by ultrasound. So apparently, like, they take an ultrasound thing and beam onto into your body, and that turns the thing on, and then it like returns back and says, here's the oxygen. Pretty amazing. So they haven't tested it in people yet, but they've tested it in pigs, and it sounds like it's going to be a real thing that's really going to happen within a couple of years. Pretty amazing and awesome.
And that would solve the problem of how to power the battery or whatever inside you. That if
right.
It could be powered
in fact,
outside.
that's right. They were saying, this could be start of all kinds of implantable things. And it actually, they can beam power to it. Pretty amazing.
Yeah. Tommy in the chat room makes an interesting point about the AirPods. Said they're better wired. They're easier to pull out.
Oh, that's right. Built-in removal cord.
Yep. Thank you, Tommy.
That's right.
Apple should start making their AirPods with cords on them just for that.
Just like Beats.
Yeah, I think they're called AirPods, Jeff.
You use the new MagSafe technology to make sure you can just connect it on command.
Well, or just make sure that if there's a magnet
on the outside, just go up.
Yeah, exactly. A magnetic component to it. So a strong magnet, just drag it right. Yeah. This show is really off the rails tonight, folks. This is worse.
I think we better take a couple of weeks off.
I think it's going to be a really good idea.
We all need to take some time and really think about what we bring.
You all need to think about what you've done to this show. I've been over here cruising Prime Day deals. Y'all have been over here talking about retrieving AirPods. That's all I'm saying.
This is the show we found anything good, Kelly? Topics in like 3 months.
Yeah,
that's valid.
But hey, how about that dub?
Jeez.
Oh, jeez.
But you know what, Jeff?
I almost smalled my AirPod.
This is not dub, but I have to tell you, when I got my new iPad, I thought, all right, I'm going to start clean. I'm not going to, I'm not going to restore it. I'm going to start it completely clean.
Good for you. And admitting is the first step.
Well, Jay, but it's been a very interesting experience because honestly, I don't think I realized how many apps I use on a consistent basis on my iPad until I go for them and they're not there and I have to re-download them. And so where before, if you had asked me, how many apps you use like on a weekly basis, I might have said 5, 6, 7, and it ends up being more like 15, 20, 25. And so it was, it's almost the lesson I learned from it is that what I think I'm doing with it is not all that I'm doing with it. And so as a result, I mean, honestly, I think this will be one of the last times, because now that I know this, I don't want to go through this pain again unless there's a really good reason. But it was very much a wake-up call that my iPad is a lot more than just a consumption device or a device of convenience. And I see Kelly nodding her head.
I did not start clean just because I started paying attention to what I was using, because I was thinking about just starting fresh on the new one. And so I started spending time looking at how much stuff I actually do with my iPad and all the different stuff that I open on a regular basis. And it was a truckload of stuff. And I just went, I can't, I don't want to have to start over again with all of this. So, go ahead, Warren.
No, I was just going to say, like, if you go into your purchases tab in the App Store, you'll see this. I do this every so often because I forget what I have or could have, and you'll see a list of what you've downloaded by date. And that's really helpful for me to figure out, whether it's a good list to go through, because things that you'll find that you go through phases. Like, when I lived in London, I did a whole bunch of London-based apps that are still probably on my phone. So you'll start seeing trends of what your habits were using your iPhone or iPad. So it's that's just something to do.
But Warren, I agree with you. That's a good exercise. But even if I'd done that, I don't think I would have really recognized just the sheer volume of apps that, because it happened tonight. I got some dinner before the show, popped open my iPad, went for this app, and it's not there. Where did it go? Oh, that's right. Got to download it. Got to find the password for it. Got to make sure, that I can log into the service. Then go for something else. Son of a gun, that's not there either. And that was the way I discovered this. So, it's interesting audit. I mean, I need to, I'm sure there are apps out there. I know there are apps out there that track what you use. And that might be something now that I want to do to see, but this was my way of doing it, and a little inconvenient, but very enlightening. Very enlightening.
I know they have the iPhone has a thing like that. Don't they have that built into settings in the iPad?
For what?
I think it's under battery, and it shows what you actually use.
It shows you,
so it can really show you what
how
you
much battery use per app.
So you could average it out if you kept track of it, let's say, for a week.
Siri suggestions widget will usually try to tell you what you use more often.
I think the suggestions widget is actually more useful for that, because instead of seeing something based on battery consumption, which may or may not correlate to actual use.
Right. If it's inefficient, you don't know.
Right. But if you see it shows up every day, it's not a matter of how much battery uses. It's a matter of how often you use it.
It's a good indicator, I think, too, to see what you use. If for the ones that you really don't use at all, you're not going to see anything, any battery usage on it. So that's a good indicator there, too.
Well, whatever. I mean, it doesn't have to be deadly accurate. Mine was black and white. It's either there or it's not when I want it, and it wasn't. And so, I discovered exactly.
One thing that turned out to be very telling for me about which apps I'm really using on my phone was enabling the offload apps I'm not using feature, and then periodically going and looking. And at one point, I found an entire folder of apps on my iPhone where every single one of them had the little cloud with download on them. And I'm like, holy crap. Okay, these can all go.
Yeah.
And then you ask yourself the question is, why am I deleting? If I have the space,
Well, I also I go through phases where I turn off automatic updates for apps, and then I have to go update them by hand. And then from there, if you swipe, I will look at it, I have that installed. And then if you just swipe to the left on it, you get a delete option right from the update screen. And so I use that. I will go through phases of that, a few weeks at a time where I do that. every day and then sort of like, wait, that's installed, or when did I install that? Which is the other question I ask a lot. And then they get eliminated.
Yeah.
The automatically update never worked for me, like ever. I always have it turned on, but every time I go to the App Store to do an update and swipe down, there's always something.
Oh, I check it regularly because I want to make sure that I'm getting updates, but sometimes I will leave it on and it does an okay job. It's not 100%.
It scares me leaving it up to the machine. I want to know what's going in.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's never been 100% for me, so it's just been like a little bit better. So sometimes I will just turn it off entirely and manage it.
Updates I'm excited by updates. It gets me going. It's like I thought about this today. Beta updates and betas are like the things I just look forward to every day. Like, is there going to be a new beta? And not just of Apple stuff, like my car, and I actually installed the Windows 11 leak on one of my Windows laptops, and so I've been playing with that, and it's actually, we could talk about that at some point, but it's not bad.
Oh, we can't.
Probably not here.
I came for the Microsoft. I stayed for the Windows. Hi, Warren.
Microsoft Zone.
We're supposed to be tech fans and not,
Yeah, that's why we don't talk about Windows.
So, well, you gotta, if you're blind to, good tech coming around the corner, then you get in trouble. You can't be blind to some of it. You got to look out. I mean, there's some things that they're doing right. I mean,
like Microsoft Edge.
I saw a beautiful Visual Studio 2022 demo. That was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
That wraps up our discussion of how many apps you use on your iPad, how you find that out, and whether you want to just leave them there or not. Next time, we start to look at the new version of Safari that is available as a beta for you to try out in Big Sur, and that will become standard in Monterey. That's next time on Mac Voices, and I hope you will join us for the final part of this Mac Voices live discussion. Until then, and as always, I'm Chuck Joyner. Thanks for watching. Visit MacVoices.com for show notes and to connect with Chuck on social media. Get involved in our Facebook group or like our Facebook page, and get more out of your Apple tech with Mac Voices Magazine, free on Flipboard and on the web. And if you find value in it all, consider supporting us through either our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/MacVoices or by making a one-time donation via the PayPal link on our front page and in the show notes of each episode. You will join these fine people who help bring you Mac Voices. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com. Bandwidth provided by CacheFly at cachefly.com.